Hi everybody, welcome to Watch These Dice for new battle report. It's a practice game I played shortly, I guess, before releasing sending the ETC list. One of my teammates playing Infernal Dwarves, Dimitri, wanted to try out his list and make some adjustment after the game, so we played the game online. And this is the battle report of it. My list, you know it, and this was more or less my opponent's list from what I can remember. Played already this game quite a while ago, so I hope I still recall enough things to make it interesting for you, but should be the case since I take notes. He had the usual Commissioner BSB with Onyx Core, a Conjurer Apprentice Witchcraft with the Binding Scroll, a Lamassu with the Book of Arcane Knowledge, and the General was an Apprentice Alchemy on a Small Bull of Shamut with Magical Heirloom. He had 20 Citadel Guard with Rending Banner, 2 times 20 Vassals with Relentless and Bows, 2 units of Anointed Great Weapon, and 2 units of Academy Incarnate with Champion. So basically, as you can see, his magical setup is not heavy. He hasn't so many spells, but still access to 5 to 6 spells, which is not bad at all. And yeah, option to have some high casting roll with the book on the Lamassu on 2 key spells. I think for his list, first one is the Toxic Breath, which is huge from distance, especially when you consider having reroll to wound with a flammable token and casting it on incarnates. And then second one could be +2 armor save, for example. We played the following: King of the Hill with Marching Column, which is a quite interesting setup to train on. A couple of thoughts about the matchup. So he has plenty of combat threats, so potentially I don't want to deploy too broad. I want to punish him for his large footprint. To play on a reduced part of the board could be to my advantage, I guess. Secondary objective, I think it's very depending on who can start, and I kind of hoping to get close train, because I would be happy to play on a reduced part of the map and concentrate my strengths where it could struggle to bring the same kind of power on the same part of the map. Basically, that's something I was anticipating. I would be really happy to start on this type of secondary. Would like to do some range damage, move forward, claim some board space and so on. Obviously Giant will be as usual on the, as often on the weak flank or targeting some weaker spot. And I estimated it being kind of drawish. The small variance is more who can start and who is doing damage first from distance. Deployment, took it from turn 1, but you can see the starting position with the little cross. So basically, he had the Incarnate here behind the house. I think he started from... trying to recall. I definitely started from the right, so I won the roll for sight. I picked the Water Train as my piece of train to defend. I gave him the Impassable, and he picked the wall as a piece of train to defend. Obviously, he didn't want to face me straight, so that's the type of configuration that I didn't like so much. I really wanted to have something closer between us, and it will be hard for me to get to try to play for balls, basically. So then he decided to start to drop. I think I need to recall, but I think maybe started from the left. I definitely started from the right, putting a cat, Tuskers. Yeah, I think he started from the right. He put some Anointed Discipline, Vassals, and then Incarnate after he saw my Tuskers. The third drop were my Bruisers, and then he decided to drop for first turn, Lamassu, his Anointed Star, General, Incarnates, Flintlock, and here the Vassals, basically. And my counter deployment was the following, so I went for a strong right flank, thinking I can win it here with my 3 key strengths, and basically putting minimal effort but still something to try to go for the secondary objective on the left in case something good happens for me. So I put my Giant and a Bruiser Stick on the left, and middle and right of the board I put Frost Mammoth, a Bruisers, Tribesman, Tribe Star with the General, I guess. Then I have Great Can BSB. I thought the Great Can could be a great counter for his BSB. I have slightly better chances than him to kill him rather than he kills me, so it could be very risky for him to go and try to fight the unit of mercs. And yeah, the Tuskers on the far right, I felt I have good chances to win against this block, so I should be fine. Just wanted to avoid a bit what he can do with Incarnate that could be kind of annoying for Tuskers. Turn 1 Infernal Dwarves, so he moved like you can see here and you saw before. Just basically get some board space, put the Kadim in position where he can cast the spell and try to do some toxic damage against my Merc Vets. The good thing is all his token generator unit are really far away from the Merc Vet, so he's not going to get reroll to wound. Magic Face, he get Breast Weapon off on the Kadim champion. I get Quicksilver Lash off on my Frost Mammoth, gets a wound. Shooting, he did 2 wounds to some tribesmen, I guess. Yeah, I think to the tribesmen here. And then with the Breast Weapon, he did 2 wounds to my Mercs, so not bad at all. My turn 1. I don't want to face a charge now, I have time, I want to be patient, so basically I'm reforming a bit my battle line, I want to take some turn to do range damage and then try to counter push, like I do sometimes. So basically I move forward with Tuskers, giving him a middle long charge, try to tempt him to charge me. Move slightly back the tribesmen that don't want to be engaged at anything at the moment. Here I start to see my mistake to pick a piece of terrain where I cannot play on being steadfast, and that's going to be an issue for this game for the tribesmen that are in the water terrain. And basically the rest didn't move much. I decided to put the Frosty within the forest. I thought I'm not too scared of him hitting me on 6s, wounding me on 6s, and then if I can add some pressure on the left and force this Flintlock to stay on the left part of the map, that would be a unit that I don't need to take care of. Maybe it could even slow down the Incarnate, and during this time, if I can kill one of these units, then I might be able to establish control and move forward. That's the idea. Flanks, giant push on the flank, and I move these guys back to stay really far away from him. I don't want to get any shots from the bow and so on to generate panic check, so I stay far away and I have time to move forward for the secondary. Magic Face, I get Chilling all, and with Shooting I'm going to do 2 wounds to the Incarnate, which is not much but still something to start with. His turn 2 didn't move much, he moved back, decided not to charge against me since the odds are in my favor. Move these guys to the side, move them on the hill in a position to cover a push from my Tuskers, and yeah, I cannot be charged by them because then I would be really get hurt, and a strike back after could be a problem. Here, as you can see, he pushes forward with the Incarnate in the field, pushes these guys to shoot me, turns around with them to bow shot my giant, and also put his general to cover some angles and basically make sure I cannot be in here in the middle. In Magic Face, he failed Quicksilver Lash, I dispel Breast Weapon, and I dispel Hereditary, I guess. With Shooting, he did 3 wounds on my Frost Mammoth, so he's hitting on 6s, wounding on 6s, and still did 3 wounds to me, which is crazy good and way more than I expected by being in that position. So yeah, this is really crazy. My turn, I guess. So I start to, yeah, I see that I have only 2 wounds left, so I backed the Frosty. I need to create something on this right part of the map. If I take too much time to do stuff, basically can kill my stuff and then I'm going to be in trouble. So I'm sending forward the first dart with some counter charge option here, pushing slightly forward but not too much, still far away from the Incarnate, basically just in a position to punish him if he charges me, and if he don't, then I can charge him with Tribesmen basically. Giant continues to push to the top, basically out of range of the bull to charge me. These guys start to move slowly forward, and that's it. In my Magic Face, I will get Hand of Heaven, do 3 wounds to the Incarnate. With Shooting, I do another 2 wounds, so they start to get very crippled and not scare me anymore too much on my Tuskers. As you can see, he shot at me with the Vassals, did 1 wound and put a token on them, which was huge also in the perspective of a fight between Incarnate and myself and my Tuskers. Yeah, that's it for this turn 2. His turn 3, he didn't move much more, basically just continue to push with his middle part of the map. He started to ignore completely my giant, which I found interesting because alone there is no way these guys are going to win against the giant. So basically he pushes bottom with the bull, also wanting to get Quicksilver Lash to finish the Frosty. Basically that is huge in the perspective of some fight basically between Incarnate and them, for example, but in exchange for that he comes in range from my Merc Vet shots, which can be interesting for me. And then what else? Yeah, not much else to say. We still zone each other quite well. Magic Face, I Binding Scroll the fly because I don't want this unit to fly here to my flank. That has been a big threat, all this Magic Face. It's basically him getting a fly to move here to my side, and that would be very annoying because he could get a lot of shots, first of all, and second of all, then be out of arc and be unmanageable for me. So Binding Scroll that, I Dispel Quicksilver Lash on the Frosty, I get Breath Weapon off on the Academy Incarnates, I get Flaming Sword off on the Vassals as well. And with shooting, is going to do 3 wounds to my tribesman. I guess this tribesman? Don't remember which one. What else? He did also 1 wound on my Merkvet with his breast weapon, which is not huge. So I was happy with that. My turn. So what happens? I sent 2 charges in. The first one was them against that. He had 10 shots on 6s and 5s, and he still managed to do 3 wounds, cause a panic check. I failed the panic on 7 rollable and run away, which was very annoying. Second of all was the charge of the giant on 8 against the vassal, which was also quite important for me. What has happened? I failed, and Instant and Shoot did 1 wound to me, but I failed this charge on 8, which also would have been kind of huge in the perspective of pushing the left flank and putting pressure on him. Then the rest, I just adjust my positioning, try to move away as much as I can with my Frosty, but I'm kind of limited here. In the Magic Phase, I was able, I Dispel Hand of Heaven on the Incarnate again. I got Chilling Hole and I failed the Wrath of God, and with shooting I did another 2 wounds on the Incarnate, but this is getting slower than I expected. Basically, and yeah, that's it for my turn. His turn 4. Again, didn't move much, put the remaining Incarnate behind the hill, move these guys back, move these guys to the side, continue to zone me, continue to push forward with his mage. This time I will get no cover, so I would be really happy to shoot him, because last turn it was kind of complicated. Since I had cover on him, wasn't too interesting to shoot him, so I preferred to continue to shoot at the Kadim, try to finish them. Other than that, yeah, nothing crazy to tell you about. Quicksilver Lash, he got that off against my Frosty and kills it. Nothing I can do. He had a high roll, which was very annoying for me. Breast Weapon did 1 wound to my Merkvet. He had that on some Kadim or something. And then with shooting, he did with nothing. So just on 4s and 6, I guess. He did 3 wounds to my Giant. So my Giant has something like, I lost 4 wounds. I have 3 wounds left, which is not so good before trying to go in combat. My turn. No, I think I have only 2 wounds left. That's why I didn't want to charge in. Or maybe even 1 wound left. What did he do? So this time he did 3 wounds to my giant. On the Stand and Shoot he did 1 wound. And I think the turn before he did also another wound. So I have like 2 wounds left, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I decided not to charge and get killed, but just move to the top and continue to apply pressure on this, and starting to push with a second unit to basically establish a situation where if he looks top, I have a rear charge, and if he looks down, I have a rear charge with the giant, basically making it hard for him to ignore me. The rest remain compact and patient. I'm starting to push them a bit more to tempt it to charge me. I'm feeling the odds are in my favor and I really want to try out that. I rally those guys and let's go magic. He Binding Scroll on the Heaven. I get -1 resilience on the Flintlock, but I lost the spell. And with shooting, I shot at the Flintlock because of the spell. Should have a shot at his general, I guess, and did 3 wounds to the Flintlock, but I think I should definitely have shot at his general, which wasn't the smartest choice for me. Let's move on to turn 5, which will be the last turn. So maybe I put some numbers on the left, but before, let me explain you what happened. He had a charge on a 9. I gave him that. I felt I should be okay because his magic was so far away. Basically, I calculated that he wasn't able to give them any boost because of the starting position. He wasn't going to be able to boost them for combat, and I'm going to strike before. Remember, I'd only lost 1 wound on 1 model, so charge on a 9 Swift Ride, he got that. All fine. The rest pushes toward my secondary objective, move forward, and so on. He turns around his 2 flying character to look at my giant, try to finish him, and goes down with the vassals to face my bruisers. So, magic phase, he got also, I think he failed some march check on something because of the giant, maybe? On the mage, yeah, that's why, on the mage. Quicksilver Lash. Against my giant, he did 2 wounds, kill my giant. Kind of annoying, he had reroll to wound, so that's kind of expected. Then he goes the fly off on the Lamassu, I don't remember why, and then close combat. So what happened? First of all, what was really important for him to work was to do 2 wounds or more on my Tuskers. Because if he don't do that, I go before him with all 4 mounts. And if I go with all 4 mounts, there is no way he wins this combat. So there is a combination of 22% for him that he is able to achieve that. He got the 2 wounds, so that was fine, he killed a model. Then I go with 3 Tuskers. Expected are between, as you can see, between 2 and 5 wounds that I should do on his model. Quite important is if I kill 1 model, so if I do 3 wounds, then he is attacking with 1 model less, which is kind of huge as well. And here I just roll 1 below what I needed at least, which would be 3 wounds. So as you can see, we're still in the green area, but kind of side of the green. But interesting. So I did 2 wounds to him. Then we go same time, and again, I can do between 3 and 6 wounds on the most cases. I did here 3 wounds, so I did a total of 5, and he was able to do 6 wounds, which is totally fine from him. But basically, as you can see, it can go from 5, which is what I did, to 11 wounds in most cases, which is a huge difference, because in one case he is completely dead, in the other case I'm in big trouble, and that's exactly what happened here. Luckily for me, at least I passed my rerollable check, which I lost by quite a bit. As you can see, I had 8 and a charge, I have 5 and a standard, so I lost by 3. I had a 6 rerollable, which I passed, luckily for me. But I have only like 1 model left. Yeah, 2 wounds and 6. 1 model left with 3 wounds. So that was very annoying. He went for it, because if he breaks me, that's his way to try to go for a secondary, which I understand, but because of the lack of magical support, we both agreed that it was probably a mistake for him to charge. But luckily for him, if you go in combat, you never know. I mean, it's always going to be possible. Let me see, my turn 5. So I don't have a screenshot, but basically what I did was more or less the following, and then we kind of played quickly the turn 5 and then discussed what should happen turn 6, because we already played quite a long time, it was going to be late and it was during the week. So we just made it very quickly, but basically I had a piece of chaff to chaff both this unit in one go. So I could give them a flank and so on to not get them any charge on my unit. Then the Saber-tooth Tiger could chaff the Thoric Anointed. Then the unit of Tribesmen could push hard and block completely his possibility to go within the lake. So I could block the secondary. Those guys charge the corner of them, just be in contact with 1 guy, and basically 1 Tusker is probably going to die. But then, as you can see, I did 5 wounds to him. So if I can just do, before he goes, at least 1 wound, then he has only, let me check, 5 wounds. So if I do at least 1 wound, then he goes back with only 2 models. Not even sure that he kills me, but even if he kills me, I'm going to stick, because he can only do 3 wounds to the Tuskers, and I will have at least a charge and a wound or something like that, so I should be able to hold. Basically, if I hold on his turn 6, he cannot go within the train, so I was going to be fine. But I'm probably going to lose both in the turn 6. What else? And then the big question is, so what can he do? I don't have any more picture, but basically what he could do after on his turn 6, like we discussed, he had 2 ways of chaffing the tribesmen. So he could chaff my tribesmen. These guys could position themselves to basically be almost sure to be able to charge one of these guys. There is, I think, no way he can avoid that. He can try to move around with the BSB and try to block me, but I'm not sure he can do that. And I'm not sure he's ready to do that because of the Kagadai. Because I can keep the Kagadai in this unit, move here forward, and I don't think he wants that combat. And then basically with Tribesmen just block here. And since I charge him, he cannot charge the Tribesmen, and they are just blocking the train. So I think here I was going to be totally fine about the situation, but obviously going to lose points here on the right. But in exchange for that, take some points here in the middle. Bruiser against them situation. Here I had the opposite. What happened this combat, I should have not won, but I won, and I think I broke them after 2 turns, but just too late to claim secondary. So I was not able to get those secondary, but I got those points if I remember correctly. We rolled a couple of dice, don't remind exactly. So more or less, I think it was rather a small win for him, something like that, very close to a draw. Hard to tell exactly because we didn't play it till the end, and as you can see, some turn of event could have changed slightly the score, but you saw more or less how it went. Post-game analysis. So on the macro level, I don't think I made the right choice on the map. If you look at the map, for example here, I think what I should have picked instead is, as you saw, the impassable wasn't a problem for him. He had the incarnate, could move over, not a problem at all. I think I should have picked top, deploy compact here, pick the hill as a piece of terrain, which is way easier for me to defend in comparison to this one. And basically that leaves him, if you check his perspective, that leaves him with the train, water train. He don't want to pick that if I pick the hill. So he's most likely going to pick something like the ruin, which is not so easy to defend in comparison to a wall. So here I think on a macro level I don't made the right choice with the map for the secondary objective. Like I said, kind of hard to guess the exact conclusion, but you saw more or less how it went. The Kadim blocks my Tusker quite long enough. I knew it was a counter. I didn't find a way to avoid that. Also, mainly, I see also that Marching Column is not an easy deployment for my list. First Mammoth aggression. I was unlucky, obviously, due to his shot, but my aggression, I think, served no purpose. I shouldn't have done that and stayed more patient with the Frosty. His turn 5 combat, we agreed that it was probably too risky for him to charge. Pushing the Tuskers, I should have do something which is at least cover with Death Star for the counter charge, just to make him think twice before charging me. I should have been able to do that. Yeah, Giant missed a great opportunity. If I succeed on the charge on 8, I think I would have been in a good spot to put more pressure on the secondary and then force the Flintlock to turn around and stuff like that, and basically make me more able to counter push him on the right part of the map. I also did, I think, a bit less than I expected with my range damage. I didn't do much. I didn't finish a single unit with all my shots. I've been used to do more than that, but I don't know how were the odds, but just my gut feeling, so to say. And yeah, probably too risky for him to try a BSB against Great Khan Duel. There was a lot to lose. And the Flintlock, I didn't expect that, but Flintlock with Raven's Wing were a big threat for me, because if they go in my flank, that's kind of painful. That's also one point more why I said that I should have deployed here, because if I deploy here compact, it's hard for him to push my flank, because I'm protected by a house. And I can still put Giant and stuff on the right to try to apply some pressure, but at the same time I have this house protecting my flank, and then I can easily on the first couple of turns play with the hill myself and not let him have that advantage. So I think here I made the wrong choice to start the game with, and then after that I paid a heavy price later on, basically by being incapable of getting more threat on his impassable and just being blocked on my own corner and not able to do much because of this water train that was really annoying due to the steadfast breaking rule. That's all, guys, for this battle report. I hope you like it. It was an interesting game for me to play against Dim, who is one of a good player of the Swiss team, so always a pleasure to fight against him. Kind of standoff-ish. I think it makes sense due to both lists, to be honest with you, and also because of the secondary objective. But I felt that I could have done better and more in this game, which is a bit frustrating, but surely a learning experience, as always. Thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you soon on the channel. Bye.